After 14 years of being a primary school teacher, Maarten Henskens leaves the comfort of his steady job for the thrill of entrepreneurship. It was his passion for cycling that led him to start a bike repair shop in Belgium, but it was his first love of computer science that led him to the blockchain industry. Now he is a vice president of a dApp platform development company, and he tells us his story on today's episode. Welcome to the DYOR Crypto Founders Report, where we speak to the leaders, pioneers, and inventors of the blockchain and crypto space. I'm Mustafa, the founder of DYOR Crypto, and if you're looking for a guide to help you navigate and research the world of blockchain and crypto, then you've come to the right place. Follow now on YouTube, Twitter, and DYOR-crypto.com so you don't miss any of the fascinating guests that come on our show. Before we get started, guys, remember, you can get the show notes and transcript to this episode at the link in the description or by DYOR-crypto.com/show notes. Also, give a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe to show your support. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of DYOR Crypto Founders Report. I'm Mustafa, and today our guest is Maarten Henskens. He is a former school teacher turned entrepreneur turned developer. Now he is the vice president of Aster Network, and he's going to tell us all about his career, how he got to where he is today, how he got into the blockchain industry, and he's going to talk to us about what he sees for the future of a blockchain and a decentralized world. Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the introduction, Mustafa. It's really great for being here. Looking forward to our conversation as well, and to tell everyone about maybe my life story and how I came into the blockchain industry, and maybe hope that I can inspire some other folks as well to join this wonderful and exciting industry. So looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
So take us back to the beginning. Tell us about your professional story. How'd you get started in your career? And yeah, go ahead and tell us your story, please.
Well, I graduated high school as computers in computer science. And I started working for an internet provider here in Belgium. So I did some helped internet getting the internet installed and fixing problems with the customers and doing some developer work inside of the company. And that's actually where I started. But I had to travel a lot. I mean, like if you go to Belgium, it's a small country, but the roads are like there's a traffic jam everywhere. So I have to go to the one side to the other. It cost me like hours each day to get to customers and so on. So after I think 5 years, I got sick and tired of traveling all over the place in Belgium. So at that point, I was actually living with my sister because she just got her baby, and she was all alone with that, and I helped her with raising the baby. And at that point, I was looking for something like, okay, maybe I want to do something with children as well. So I started school for teaching primary school children, and I graduated there, and I started teaching in a primary school. And that was very fascinating. I did that for like 14 years. So I have done many years. I helped a lot of children get the basics out of life. So that was a great experience for me. During my last years as a primary school teacher, I also started my own business as a bicycle repair store. So because one passion of mine was riding a bike. And at one point I was like, I need to learn how to fix it for everything for myself, because if you go every time to a bike shop, it will cost a lot of money. And so I wanted to learn it myself. So I did a 3-year course, and I learned how to fix bicycles. And then I started my own business. Later on, I was again looking for something new, and I started in the blockchain industry like 10 years ago for the first introduction with Bitcoin and everything like that. So then I wanted to do something else. I want to go back to where everything started with computer science. So I want to get back to the computer, because it always inspired me and always made me feel like, something that I really like to do. not only working with my hands, but also learning new technologies. And I think like the blockchain industry is the perfect industry to keep on learning new technologies, keep on learning to meet new people, making great connections as well. So, and that's how, from becoming someone who was on the road a lot, helping people getting their internet fixed, to becoming a primary school teacher, starting my own bicycle business, and then getting back to what I actually started, computers. So I actually did a lot of steps in between. So, and that's still a big way to describe myself. I can't concentrate myself on one thing. I need to motivate myself to keep on doing a lot of things. So, and I did that in all those categories, like with teaching, I want to do more than that. So I helped a lot of children with problems like they have problems with math or something, that I did focus on. And then, yeah, I just kept on, how do I say it, drive myself to do more than just one thing, because I'm one of those who get really bored a lot afterwards. So it's the same when I'm going on vacation. I can't just lay on the beach. That's not possible. So I just got back from vacation this week, and actually my wife was doing a lot, and I was actually still working because I still need to do things, because yeah, that's just me. So yeah, that's a little bit a short story. It's a little bit of all in between.
So how did
Yeah.
you end up at in the as a vice president as a vice president of growth at a blockchain company or a dApp company?
Well, I had some experience as a CMO in a startup in the blockchain industry, and it was a Finnish based in the company, and they were focusing on provenance tracking and creating NFTs that are tied to luxury items, so that everything can be tracked from origin, where they are located from, and the provenance is good there, and it's not to help the counterfeit problem in the luxury industry. And that business actually went down because of the COVID. So I got fired there because there wasn't any money. And at that point, I was looking for something new. And this was in 2019. And then I just left the blockchain industry for a while, because that was also during, like the bear market at that time. Nobody was caring a lot for that industry at the moment. So I left it behind a little bit. And then in the summer of 2020, I was learning about Polkadot, and actually I was learning about Substrate for more particular. And there were some hackathons at that moment. So I joined a hackathon, and it's called the Encode Hackathon. They are mainly focusing on colleges and the young students. And I was just like, I just wanted to learn Polkadot, because Polkadot is actually a sponsor of that hackathon. So I started doing all those challenges for the hackathon, and I really got interested. And one of the sponsors actually was Blossom. So Astar, because Astar is now the new name of Blossom Network. So Blossom Network was also a sponsor to support Polkadot in the hackathon. And yeah, I got in touch with the core team, and just they helped me out when I was starting to create a dApp on top of Blossom Network. And they were helping me out, they were supporting me a lot. And at that point, I was also helping the community there with problems they had during the hackathon and using their infrastructure. So I started creating tutorials, I started creating videos, and so on and so on. And at one point, I saw an application, a job application from Sota, the founder of Blossom Network, or Astar ecosystem. And I just applied, and we had some calls together. And at that point, I started as an infrastructure developer for Blossom Network, an intern. So actually, as an infrastructure developer, I was doing exactly what I was at that point doing as just a member, like helping the people to get started in the network. And as an infrastructure developer, I started helping the new projects to build on top of our ecosystem. And so they offered me a full-time position, and it wasn't possible for me because at that moment I was still teaching and I couldn't left the classroom just in the middle of the school year. It was possible, but I wouldn't do that because during the COVID, then the pandemic, it was, yeah, I really wanted to finish this with my students at that time. So in the 1st of July now, this summer, I started full-time now with the Star Network and got the role of VP of Growth. So I'm helping actually the ecosystem to projects, helping to build on our ecosystem, also helping on the marketing side. I'm helping on creating strategies, tactics to grow our ecosystem. So that's actually how I got involved in the Star Network.
So you've got experience in computer science. You have experience in education, primary education for young people. You have experience in programming. You have a lot of different experiences, and it's sort of this is like sort of the culmination of all that. Um, and now you are working, and you also have experience. I noticed you do some things with design and web design and things like that. So very good to have all of these different tools in the box, I would say. What would you say is the most challenging part about being doing the role that you're in right now?
Yeah, the most challenging part now, when I wanted to get this role in the Star ecosystem, was actually to take the jump into the blockchain industry, to say like, I want to stop my full-time job here now and I just want to jump into something new. And yeah, it's something that you don't know what it will bring next month or next year. You just don't know. Well, as a teacher, you know, like next year I just have a new class, and the year after I have a new class, and so on and so on. So everything is like fixed, like. And now as VP of Growth in a blockchain company, you don't have that certainty over years. You just do what you really want to do, and was a challenge because you still have to take the jump to do this. You still have to go to your boss and say like, I want to quit my job, I want to go to the blockchain. And my boss and all the others were like, huh, what, blockchain, what's that? So it's very hard to explain to people that don't know what it is. Like, yeah, I'm going to do something that's decentralized, and yeah, I have to explain a little bit. And they were like, what are you going to do? And yeah, so it was difficult for the outsiders to know what I was going to do. But I had a great feeling, not only with the project like Astar, but also with the team, because it's very important that you are aligned with the vision of the project. If you don't fit the company culture or the company vision, then yeah, then the project, then you won't fit in that role. And the Star, the culture, the vision, it was just perfect for me, and that made it a little bit easier. But still, it was a huge step to go on to the outside to say, well, I'm going to start working full-time in a blockchain project. I still think that my wife still doesn't fully understand what I'm doing. I try to explain and over, but she's like, okay, you are working something with computers in decentralized. Okay, it's good. And there it stops. So
When was the first time that you heard the word blockchain being used in a sentence?
that was a long time ago. I think, well, I started actually like in 2000, I don't know, like 8-9 years ago, that I first heard of Bitcoin and about blockchain. And it's still like, in all those 8 years, it's still difficult to explain it in your own words what the industry is actually about. And that was also difficult for me at first to understand what is actually that blockchain is all about. And it wasn't only about Bitcoin, but then after some time there was Ethereum and things like that. And you also had that, you always have, in all those years that I've been in there, that's like the ups and downs of the industry. I think at this point we are now at a phase that the adoption of or the scalability of the industry is still in baby shoes, but it's getting there, like where it should go to. And that's something that I really like. And that also helped me with the decision to go in this industry, because now I finally see the word blockchain more and more used everywhere in the world, if you compare it to like 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, when you got into computer science, you weren't really like aware of Bitcoin and blockchain, or what came first, computer science or Bitcoin for you?
Computer science was first.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, Bitcoin, it wasn't really on my radar at the radar at that point.
Was it
So
after you graduated from
yes,
university that you heard about
yeah,
it, and then it just made sense to you right away? So you're one of the rare people that got into it not because of the price, not because of the financial prospect, but because of the technology. What about that technology is so intriguing to you that you would leave everything behind for it? What is it about that?
but like uh, when I talk about this, and I'm talking about this to users that are also, or are to people that are also in the industry, they're the first reaction of those people are, yeah, everyone would say this or go into this to like, they want to give the power to the people, stop with the banking system and things like that. But that's actually one of the reasons, that's the same reason actually that I first started with blockchain, like this will change the world. But now in the later, now we're in the place where I'm now, my vision is a little bit changed, because I still believe that the decentralization will change a lot, but I don't think that it will replace all those major institutions that are here now, because that's still at some point needed. And
Mm.
we can't. So I think there is a switch off that's needed. Like now with the blockchain, it's getting more and more popular, and not only because of the price or of the market, but more about the technology, because you see now that more and more of those big institutions are now using the technology to do better things in their business. Like you got like a major bank here in Belgium, and they also are using the technology, but they are using the technology um, in a way that it's like it just fits the culture of that bank. And I think that's important, that it's still used, the technology is used, but not like this blockchain, like I had in the beginning, the vision from the blockchain will um, make all those banks bankrupt and get out of the world, and everything will be in the hands of the people. Like that's, I think it's not, this will never happen, because I think it's not possible to do so. So I think that the technology, um, the use of the technology is more important than um, the great vision that some people have with blockchain and the power of some identities. How to say it? You understand what I mean?
I do, yeah, absolutely, and it's very interesting to hear you say that. It's sort of like you expect that most people are in it because they're like, down with the banks,
Yeah.
and you're saying that it's not exactly, they're going to still exist. It's going to sort of coexist with blockchain, and you also mentioned that You do believe, though, however, that decentralization and blockchain will change from where it is now. Could you describe that vision to us? What are some of those details? What are some things or examples that you can describe the vision of what decentralization and blockchain will look like in the future? Maybe in a 10-year horizon or even beyond that, if you can.
Yeah, of course. I can say like a use case for this. I can go into some like the NFT hype that is going on. Let's focus on the NFT side of the industry, and how the NFT on blockchain can change a lot for now this world where we are in now. So like the NFTs, like those are very hype now, not only because of celebrities are getting used to it, or things like in the media, like the Twitter was the first tweet was bought as an NFT, like that kind of millions, or that some digital art got bought like that kind of millions, but more like the NFT use case in the real world, like for us as customers. Like you can say NFT will at one point, I believe, will be integrated in our lives without people knowing that it's powered by blockchain. Yeah. For I can say an example, like a coupon on a store, it can be like in the form of an NFT. You can have it in an NFT wallet on your mobile. You just go to the store, they scan the QR code or things like that, and it's done. The NFT, the utility for the NFT at that moment has been established, and it's done, and the coupon is expired. But they use the blockchain technology in the NFT to just do some discount or coupon for this or that. And that's the use of blockchain in the real world. And it can be the same for like an NFT token for celebrity, that will for a singer that are creating NFT tokens, like fan tokens. Like you have now fan tokens for all those soccer teams and all. I think that's a great use case of how the blockchain can be integrated in our lives without knowing that blockchain is used in the background. So, and I don't think that all the people that are now here in our world need to know about the blockchain technology or need to know how it works. But the people who are building it, they know the power and they know what they can do with this technology to make the business better, or to make it how do I say it? To make their product or their better in a decentralized world, because using the decentralized world will eventually be very important if you look at like for data and for everything that's now going on, that you as a user still have power if you want, of course, to see what has been done with this. Or I want to go and figure out from, okay, I have bought that. Like, let's go back to what I was saying in the beginning. Like, I was working in the industry for the luxury items with the NFT to the luxury. So when I, like, for example, if you have a watch and you say like, okay, now I have this watch, I have this QR code, I know that my certificate is on the blockchain. That I know. I don't know about technology, I just know it's on the blockchain. Then at that point, you as a user can scan, you can register your watch, and then you can start with then that's how do I say it? The life cycle of that watch can now start in your life. Meaning, if you go to a repair shop, it's on the blockchain, for example. If you do this and then you will sell the watch to another person, and that's when the power of blockchain comes in. That they can verify the data on this chain, because it's not as bulletproof. You can't counterfeit this. It's not possible to manipulate the data on the chain, on the blockchain. And I think that's the power, to know that the data stored on chain is the data that's real, that's bulletproof, because it's not possible to change that that paper, digital paper, actually. And I think that will be the power for a lot of a lot of things in this world, that everything is locked in and can be verified by everyone who is willing to do this, or who wants to do this, who wants to know that this is real or this is not fake. I want to know the complete life cycle of that product, for example. And that's the same with like the NFTs. Like you have some kind of art that's digital art, and you have the NFT, and you want to sell it. Everything is still available in the data of the NFT. Everything can be verified, everything. So yeah, it's still people who will use the technology, of the businesses who will use the technology in the long term. I think they will only attract more and more users, because the end user will get more knowledgeable about what the technology can do, and they want to support it because they trust it at some point, more than those centralized database identities or institutions that are in power of that one person. If that institution say, if that business say, okay, we are using the blockchain technology, and it's possible you to verify everything that we do on your behalf, it's like a certificate that it's real. And I think in the long term, people who will know more about the decentralized power will eventually go with the business that will use that technology as more trustable, or more they will trust that institution or the business more when they are aware of that they are using the blockchain industry, or blockchain technology, sorry.
Okay, so currently NFTs are being popularized by media and art, especially in digital art. I think we're going to start seeing music, probably video, media. All of these kinds of things will probably be the first to be tokenized. Um, what do you think? I don't know how deep you are into the NFT research that's available, but if you were to guess, what's next for tokenization? What's up? What's on the what is on stage here that people are looking to tokenize next after, say, art and media, for example? What's like the very next thing that would most likely, in your opinion, get tokenized?
It's a difficult question. I think at one point, I think maybe data tokens, like medical histories, or medical, how do I say it?
Medical records.
Yeah, medical records, or research, or things like that. That will be data tokens, and that will be like, I think this can change a lot also, having those tokenized. And yeah, I can see the power of the data tokens in the near or in the later future.
I did some consulting for a company that deals with medical records, and one of the main topics they talk about a lot is sort of like how are we going to transition from the old system to the new system, and in what ways are they going to go from a traditional record keeping system, because it's here in the States, it's a huge thing, medical data, and it's private. Privacy is a very, very sensitive topic when it comes to that. But one of the things that they do for medical research is that they have new systems that allow for anonymized data, so they can get large sample sizes, large samples of data but it's completely anonymized, so there isn't really a person or a name associated. There's a lot of ethical issues,
Mhm.
that are dealing with that right now. But it sounds to me that what you're saying, it sounds to me like you're on the money with that. I would definitely keep an eye on the medical and healthcare industry, because I was also talking yesterday to I was speaking with Alvaro Fernandez from Insure Network, and he was also telling me that with insurance, especially with healthcare, these types of things are getting, they're like on stage to get revolutionized essentially because of blockchain. So very much looking forward to seeing a future of how data is handled in the future, especially when it comes to privacy, especially when it comes to health. Here in America, we have HIPAA. These laws, they're probably going to change to adapt to the new technologies. So this is really good news. So on to my next question. Tell us a little bit about Aster, the company that you're working at, the project that you're working on now. Let's start with a simple question. What is Aster?
A simple question, but maybe a difficult answer to do this. So like what is Astar? So I will explain a little bit like in a one-liner what is Astar. So Astar network is a scalable, multi-chain, multi-virtual machine contract hub on Polkadot that supports cross virtual machine communication and layer 2 solutions, and actually from day one. So that's actually a tagline. So you probably, or users are probably like,
I would
what?
love for you, since you're a computer science and an educator, I would love for you to how do I say, break that up into pieces for us and sort of give us some basic definitions of virtual machine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think you'll do really good at that since you come from an education background.
Okay, I will try to do my best to do this. So okay, let's break down the tagline, or let's break down the one line I just mentioned. There are a lot of multi. So let's start with the first one, the multi-chain. Um, but this in our ecosystem that we are building now with the Star, we build bridges with other blockchains, other ecosystems like Ethereum, Cosmos, Avalanche, even Binance Smart Chain, and so on. So one big aspect of a Star is that we have bridges with other ecosystems. So that's with multi-chain, that we are connecting our ecosystem to Ethereum, to Cosmos, to Avalanche, and also to other parachains in the Polkadot industry as well, to all the other projects as well in who are built or connected to Polkadot. So that's actually multi-chain, trying to connect everything together, like focus on the interoperability of everything coming together, like different use cases connected to each other without having like the focus on of I'm just an Ethereum application, but no, I'm more like a multi-chain marketplace. Like if you like Ethereum, you can use our marketplace on Ethereum. If you like, let's say, Polygon, you can use our marketplace on Polygon, or you can use our marketplace on Polkadot, and so on. So we are building a multi-chain platform for developers to use. Another multi-word I was saying, like a multi-virtual machine contract hub. So on a Star, developers can deploy Solidity and Viper smart contracts through our EVM palette, and EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine. So developers who like to build smart contracts based on the language of Solidity, they can deploy their smart contracts in our ecosystem. But besides having Solidity or EVM support, we also support smart contracts that are based on WebAssembly. And WebAssembly, those contracts are written in Ink, and Ink is a contract language that is created by Parity. And this will bring WebAssembly into smart contracts. Now, what are the advantages of what makes WASM or WebAssembly so powerful as a smart contracts, that is the performance is very high. So they can handle much more than a Solidity smart contracts. They're also very light, meaning creating Web3 or creating the new internet. When you look at smart contracts that are built on EVM or with Solidity, they are much heavier. So meaning everything will work a little bit slower. And people who are now using the internet, when a website is a little bit slow, they just close and they are gone. So, and that's the power of WebAssembly smart contracts. They are very light with high performance, meaning when you use them in a browser, they are much faster than an EVM. And WebAssembly will also expand the application of the smart contract, because you can do much more with a WebAssembly smart contract than with a Solidity smart contract, because other languages can also be included in WebAssembly smart contracts. So if you should compare WASM-based contract engines with traditional virtual machine engines, they are more powerful, they are more scalable. And I don't know if you saw the latest episode of CoinDesk with Gavin Wood, the founder of Polkadot. He was talking about WebAssembly, and he was saying like EVM, like Ethereum, this is still the very popular kid in school. Like, meaning everyone knows EVM as a developer, of course, knows Ethereum, knows Solidity. The documentation of Solidity is endless. If you want to build a smart contract, just Google it and you will find tutorials. Compare this to WebAssembly, it's still very young and it's still a little bit, it's more difficult than now with EVM. But in the long term, we as Astar and also Polkadot ecosystem, we believe that WebAssembly will be the future of smart contracts because of everything it can do better than EVM or better than Ethereum virtual machine. So we do believe that in the long term, it will surpass EVM, but we can't leave EVM behind because that's still very powerful and still needed, because EVM is at this point actually everywhere. And that's also the power of EVM. You can use EVM on Polygon, on Avalanche, on Cosmos, on Polkadot. Actually, all ecosystems support in some kind of way EVM, and that makes it also so powerful. Another word I was saying in my tagline, if you have any questions, Mustafa, just interrupt me, otherwise I will keep talking about it, so feel free to interrupt. Another thing I was saying about quasi-virtual machine communication. Now, what is this? We in our ecosystem, we found a way that Solidity smart contracts can communicate with WebAssembly smart contracts, meaning that those two smart contracts can now interact with each other. And this was not possible before. So first it was like Solidity applications can only connect with Solidity contracts and so on. So we made like a communication library available that those smart contracts can interact with each other, making the interoperability with dApps also possible in our ecosystem. And then another thing, in the end of my tagline, I was talking about layer 2. And the layer 2 solutions are also available in our ecosystem. We have layer 2 solutions like ZK Rollups have we in place, OVM, Plasma, State Channel. Those are popular layer 2 solutions as well. And that was actually one of the, now I'm talking with layer 2, actually one of the reasons why Plasm, our previous name, changed his name to Astar, because of the name just Plasm. One reason was it was mostly compared, or users usually typed or talked about Plasma, and Plasma is actually just a layer 2 solution, and that's it. It's just a layer 2 solution. And I'm now talking 5 minutes what Star ecosystem is, and I'm now at the point of layer 2. So as you can see, Astar is much more than the layer 2. So the name Plasm and the connectivity to Plasma was just not good enough to market or to go to market with that name. And now with the Polkadot auctions that haven't started yet, we still are very young, a very early stage. This was the best time to change our name to a new name, and that's why we chose Astar, and changed it from Plasm to Astar.
What are some of the dApps that are, can you give us some examples of some dApps that are currently either being built right now or are already on Astar?
Yes. So first, I would like to explain a little bit about our vision of Astar. So you can say like we want to bring Ethereum applications to the Polkadot ecosystem or to the Kusama ecosystem. But at one point we want to focus more on helping to start with projects who just startups who just started the company. We want to create natively born projects on Astar. Why we want to focus, or why we are going this way? Because if you go with a very popular Ethereum dApp, like let's say Uniswap, or let's say SushiSwap, I'm just mentioning some names. We believe that it's possible to get them to our ecosystem, but getting the liquidity, getting the users and everything over, it will be a very huge task. And I think the project itself don't have the time to do this. The community is so strong in that ecosystem that they will rebelize when you say that we are going to somewhere else, or things like that. So we are focusing in the long term, and that's the same vision as what Polkadot was doing in the beginning. So they built, like, it took them more than 2 years to build what they are doing now. So it took a long time to have what they are standing now. They're also looking at it in the long term. And that's the same vision with us, with Astar. We want to look at it in the long term. And that's why we think with helping the projects who will be born in our ecosystem, those will be the one that will be more powerful in the long term in our ecosystem than just doing some bigger project and having a multi-chain radar and just doing some double ecosystems. Having those natively born ones in our ecosystem can be much beneficial in the long term. But you are saying who are building now, and we actually have context. We are now have over 50 projects who are now building on us, but it's still, you have to see our network now in a very early stage, because we at Astar, I'm talking actually about Astar ecosystem, because we have Astar network and we have Shiden network. Those are actually two separate blockchains in the ecosystem. Why? Because Shiden network is connected to Kusama and Astar network is connected to Polkadot.
I'd like to ask you about that, actually, because this has been an elusive topic for me personally. So there's Polkadot and there's Kusama. All right. My understanding is Polkadot and Kusama are separate blockchains. Kusama is like a test net where things are tested first and then rolled out onto the Polkadot. Maybe you can do a better job than I can at explaining that. What's the difference between Polkadot, Kusama, and why build on one versus another?
Yeah, sure. Well, one major fall that people are making is comparing Kusama as a testnet, because actually it's not a testnet. Because if you look at it in the market, there isn't a testnet with economic value. That's not possible. And Kusama has an economic value, so it's not a testnet. So otherwise, it will not have that value that it is now currently having. So what's the So if you're looking for a testnet in the Polkadot ecosystem, you've got like Westend, Rococo, and so on. Those are testnets that everything will be built on and test on. And then you have Kusama and you have Polkadot. Now, what's Kusama? So when a new feature is tested in the testnet and it's ready to go live on mainnet, they will first go to Kusama. And why will they go to Kusama? Because Kusama, they have their governance is much faster. So meaning, like if they want to do something else, they want to integrate something new, they go to Kusama, they have to go to the council of Kusama, to the governance system and so on. And this will take up to 4 or 5 days. And then that new feature is implemented and can start. And then that new feature can be used in other Parachains and other applications and so on. Compare this to Polkadot. If you want to bring something new into Polkadot, it can take up to 1 month before it gets approved, before it gets even possible to use on Polkadot. And let me compare this with Astar and Shiden, our two networks, Astar on Polkadot and Shiden on Kusama. It's not like if a developer builds a dApp on Shiden, that it will also be launched on Polkadot, on a Star network on Polkadot. It's possible that the project who wants to build on Shiden will stay on Kusama and not on Polkadot. For one reason is like, let's say they are building a DEX, they are building an exchange on our ecosystem, and they're using our runtime and so on, and they want to do a new feature in their DEX, in their exchange, but some code need to be changed in our ecosystem as well to be added some features and so on. Then it has to first go to the governors, go to the proposal, go to the council and so on. And then it can be implemented within 5 days, 10 days and so on. And then it's ready. Then they can use that feature in their application. When such a project is building on a Star on Polkadot and there's a fix needed, this can take up to a month before it's even possible to get fixed or be implemented. So if there is a problem in the code and it needs some changes in our runtime code as well as our ecosystem is running on, you better be off on a network with very fast governance system, so everything can be approved very fast, instead of going to a network that is more based on security, on reliability, on slow and just a strong, robust network, instead of like to Kusama, it's more like a playground for developers. Like everything is like new features, come on, let's test it, let's do it, let's go. Everything is much faster, everything is much more fun, let me say it like this. When you go to Polkadot, it's like stricter, conservative, like no, wait, let's do this. No, it's much slower. But at the end, I believe that Polkadot will be more for the more powerful institutions, the bigger businesses will be on Polkadot, and those games and things like that will be on Kusama. That's actually the main difference between those two. Yeah,
that was a very good explanation. I hadn't heard that before. I haven't heard it explained like that. Well, if you could take a minute or two to explain to us what is a parachain, I would appreciate it.
So actually, Polkadot and Kusama, they have like the relay chain, and the relay chain is actually like the place for security. That is a chain that is based on to make sure that the security is there in place on the ecosystem. And the parachains can connect to the relay chain, and they can share the security of that relay chain, making sure that like you have on at the parachain, you still have to need your validated for your block production and so on. But they still need to pass the security. And if you have that in your own ecosystem, it will be a very expensive and a very huge task to also be handling the security of your network. And with the Polkadot and the Kusama ecosystem, the security is shared with each other. And the parachains are actually, like on Kusama, there will be like 100 parachains connected, and they all share the same security. They also are connected to each other as well. So having those cross-chain messaging parsing, like they call, like we can transfer our native token to another parachain, for example, and they can use it. So like everyone has their own ecosystem, but everything is also tied together and aligned together, so we can use each other as well.
So my understanding of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, help me understand this better. A parachain is an independent blockchain. But it's sort of coded in a way that in sort of the language of Polkadot or Kusama. And so communication between these chains, between these various parachains, is easy. And it also costs a lot of money to own one of these. Is this true?
It's not that it costs a lot of money to own a parachain. It's now that it just the start of a parachain. It's very expensive, not expensive. That like I can say it with the Star network. We to become a parachain, we had around 140,000 KSM locked in. That's around, I'm not sure numbers. It's a lot of millions that are used to connect our Shiden network to Kusama. But actually, those tokens that are used for winning a slot, for winning that parachains, we never have control over that money. That money is locked in that relay chain, in that security chain. And at the end of our lease period, because every parachain has a lease period, meaning like, okay, you can connect now for 1 year to our security network. And after 1 year, you need to do another auction to get that slot. If you don't do that auction, you will not be a parachain, but you will come, like they say, a par threat. And that's more of a pay-as-you-go service. Like if you use the relay chain, you have to pay some kind of gas money, gas fee. But so we collected like 140, 150,000 KSM from our community. And after our lease period, all of those KSMs will go back to the owner who joined our crowd loan, who joined a crowd loan for us to become a parachain. So as return for that, we distributed our native token to them as a reward for thank you for helping us winning the slot. Here are a part of our native tokens, and those tokens are vested for a year as well. But this is actually the new way of how to do an ICO. Like in 2017, 2018, you gave a lot of Ethereum, a lot of DOT, things like that. And okay, the project fails. Okay, I'm done. Everything is gone.
Yeah.
And now
you can't really rug pull with this kind of model because it's like a smart contract where okay, at the end of a certain amount of time, it goes back automatically to the original holder.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and we tested it out with some log drops we had last year. We had 2 log drops where people locked their Ethereum and they got their our native tokens. And actually a lot of them, when you compare our second log drop, we had over 150,000 Ethereum locked in a smart contract. So that's a lot of Ethereum that are locked in that smart contract. And I think it's around 30 or 40% of those who joined the log drop locked their Ethereum for 1,000 days, meaning like 3 years and something. And now we are almost 1 year away. So their Ethereum is still locked for another 2 years. But instead they will get their our native tokens. And yeah, it's a new way of funding or a project or helping a project to yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of a novel new thing that's happening now. Most people aren't aware of it yet because it's so new. I'm a big member in the Cardano community. I'm pretty well rooted in that community. And the new projects that are coming out are starting something called an initial stake offering, which is essentially you're staking your Cardano with them, with that project's specific node or pool. In exchange, rewards are paid to you in their native, or maybe not native, but their token, basically. So it sounds to me that that model is sort of being that idea sort of maybe came from the Kusama model or something like that, because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like people are they like your project, they want to help you basically with the auction, so they stake Kusama, or maybe not, the word stake is maybe not the word to look to use there, but sort of like staking. You sort of lock it in there, and rewards are paid out in your token, and then at the end of that period, they get back their Kusama, and they get to keep the rewards that they earned for locking that in. Does that sound about right?
Yes, completely correct. Yes, that's totally true. And I think the whole industry learned a lot from 2017 and 2018 with everything was going on there with the ICO and things like that. I think this is just the fair use policy of helping a project without um, giving them your money. It's more like you still believe what they are doing because you're still locking up your funds for quite some time. You still can lose if you a holder, you don't care if it's more but it's still some kind of strong, you need to have a strong hand to do this. Like you still like I will stake all my Ethereum to you, I will give it to you, I'm not giving, I will just lock it in, I will get your secure, and then after time I will get my Ethereum back. And I think that's the power of the new, yeah,
Yeah,
the
and it's really
new
helpful to the whole ecosystem, these sort of new models. I love that we've sort of, I feel like we're solving that problem from 2017 with the ICOs by using this. And
absolutely,
it's really,
yes,
what it's doing is it's really creating long-term holders and really securing that, it's getting people used to just putting their, Ethereum or their tokens or their whatever value they're using, and just keeping it, holding it, and not having access to it, and then that enables the network to really be secure. It also allows for the market to be less volatile, because there's a lot less money flowing out or in and out, like back and forth. So I'm really fascinated by how the network has sort of solved its own problem, just naturally, which is really, really interesting to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of the blockchain industry, because it's possible to do this. If you compare this to the regular stock market, you have to, if you want to introduce something new, it's like, no way, it's like, we are conservative, we are doing it like this, and it will stay like this. And that's the
And,
beauty of the
innovation is stifled when you have a centralized organization calling the shots. Nobody's coming up with any ideas because nobody thinks they can implement anything. They don't have any, they don't feel like they have any power. But now suddenly you give people the power, and the creativity is just flowing. It's like a renaissance.
that's this beauty. It's beautiful to see. It's like, that's just, that's so wonderful to work in this industry, because you keep on learning new things and you keep evolving. You keep, it's the same with the Polkadot and the Kusama ecosystem now. Some people who are outside of our ecosystem think that we are all competitors with each other, but actually in the back end, we actually are talking with each other on daily basis, almost like the teams are talking with each other, we are helping each other. So um, I can tell you, for example, like we have our ecosystem that are focusing on building smart contracts, but you also have Moonbeam on Kusama that's building Ethereum EVM smart contracts as well. So people think that we are like the big two competitors for each other, but actually we are helping each other. We are working with each other. We are telling like, okay, Moonbeam is specialized in EVM with Ethereum. If we have some problems with some of our code with Ethereum, if we ask them, they will just help us with this. And that's the same with us. We help them. And that's the beauty of the Kusama and the Polkadot ecosystem and the whole Web3 and parity and all. When we come together, it's like, yeah, coming to a family. And that's the beauty of the blockchain. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future of the whole interoperability and the true interoperability and everything around. I see. Yeah, it's great to be just part of this. I'm just a small figure in this whole thing, but I'm very thankful and grateful for the whole team from Astar to get me in this position I am now. So yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I was talking to Alex Mashinsky a couple of weeks ago, and he said that a key indicator for the market is when you start to see talent, really, really good talent, leaving the traditional world and flooding into this world. So pay attention to the talent that's coming in. You are in contact with these people all the time. You see I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of these people, and you'll see when they start to come in. Oh, this guy's from Google, this guy's from Facebook, this guy's from Amazon, this guy's from so-and-so, this guy's from this bank, this guy's from that bank, traditional finance, venture capital, and you see all this talent flooding in. That's a key indicator to know that it's inevitable from there, because really what it is, okay, people tend to forget, it's about human beings. It's not about, it's not about money, it's not about value, it's not about technology or software or programming or computer science. It's just about human beings exchanging and communicating. And when you look at that, you pay attention to the people, then you know what's really going on, because all that stuff I just mentioned comes from the people and comes from us, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Every single person is an integral part of the network. We are essentially the cells that make up, the entire body, right? And every single one is important. So really, really interesting. I'd like to talk about some computer science topics. Maybe can you tell us what is substrate?
Substrate is actually like the framework of Polkadot and Kusama. And what's substrate? What's the power of substrate? That is like a short protocol that will enable blockchains to operate together and help scale each other. Because actually, if you look to Kusama and look to Polkadot, their ecosystem is already a scalable solution. Like it's actually every parachain, like was mentioned earlier, is actually a node in the network that is helping to scale the complete ecosystem, because having those nodes in place will activate the sharding. Like sharding is like every piece of blockchain will validate piece of code, validate a piece of blocks that are in the network. So having this in place will actually scale the complete ecosystem and actually making the infrastructure for a better internet, a better web, because Parity, the builders of Parity, the builders of Substrate, the company behind Substrate, they want to build the foundation of Web 3.0. And with Substrate, that framework will lay down the foundation for that Web 3.0.
What's Web 3.0? Because I hear that term being used a lot, and I've actually heard a lot of people talking about it. But what I want to know is what's your definition of Web 3.0, and could we really even say that we are already in Web 3.0?
Yeah, what is Web 3.0? It's like, it's like the new way of working, the new internet of working. When I say the Web 3.0, usually we have like in Belgium, we have like an app that's called It's Me. And It's Me is like the title is saying, is it will identify you that it's making the connection. Like It's Me is like an application that you can use on all government sites, on banks, on e-commerce websites. Actually, that app will, when you connect to a website with that logo and you use that app to log in, it's verifying that it's you that's connected. And I think this is the beginning of how do I say it, of Web3. It's just like, maybe I say it like it's Web 2.1, or maybe it's just beginning, because everything is just connected with each other with just one click. Let me say, it's just one a fingerprint that you just put in the app, and everything that you are, because now if you will, like if you compare to the earlier days when you have like two bank accounts on two different banks, you have like your healthcare on that website, and it's like this in Belgium. You have everything on different website, different databases, and so on. So for that bank, you had to need like that DigiPass or that pass. Then for that bank, you need to have that, and to log in, you need to have a token, and for that, you need to have that. And like with just one app, you have access to all of this without having everything around that you need to take care of. And I think this is what the beginning is of Web 3.0, because Web 3.0 is more a decentralized way of using the internet, but like everything is interoperability. Everything can be used together without, how do I say it? The internet is just too important for a lot of people. The internet, how many people are working on the internet? It's like billions of people are working on the internet, and we want to make sure that the technology is not, for the internet, is not centralized by big companies like Facebook or Google. Like we want to make like more decentralized web, and that's Web 3.0, where we don't need to pass centralized services like this, but how do I say it? Yeah, it's more like a peer-to-peer network of a handful of corporations that are going together and building that new web.
Right. So there's like the internet protocol, which is like the foundation, right? And then you have above that you have like this the hosting, the internet service providers, the hosting, things like that. Where does sort of Web3 live in the grand scheme of things? Is it above the internet layer, or above the internet protocol layer, above the server layer, or below the server layer? Maybe, I don't know, how would you describe that? Sort of what level is it like a blockchain that exists on top of the internet protocol?
Yeah, I would say it like that, because it's like using the internet protocol in a different way that is now being used. So I think the Web 3.0 is on top of the internet layer, because Web 3.0 will use it in a different way that it's now being used in the Web 2.0. Let me say it like this. So yeah, I see it more laying there than below it, or as a service layer or things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you went from being a school teacher into basically building on blockchains. Um, how does your experience as a teacher work for you today?
Actually, when I started working in the blockchain industry, I started as working as a like a community manager, or helping the community. And I think that's where my experience as a teacher came in, like having the patience of helping people, supporting people, even those who know more than me, and I still can help them with some simple things that inside the projects, for example. Or I think the power I have, or the knowledge I have with being a teacher, is trying to explain it in a simple way, because I'm used to working with children, with primary school children, and yeah, having the patience to explain everything, or to write things down for everyone. And because if you look at, you've probably been to Telegram for a lot of times, and if you go to one project and I really, to be honest, I'm not a fan of Telegram. I just, it gives me, because a lot of those groups, I can see it in the own group of a Star network. People are just, don't want to come over in bad way,
let's just say we're dealing with the general public. Right?
Yeah, indeed, yeah. And yeah, I think that as a teacher, it just makes me more confident for talking about some things in public, for example. And I really want to, to share the knowledge as to the community, to those who are, let's say, locking their money in our projects, that I really want to give them the knowledge I have about the project. Like, we are doing this. If you don't understand it, please contact me. Let's arrange some kind of meeting. Let me explain it to you in a simple way. Because if you look at our network, we are actually a technology net. We are a technology project. We are aiming for developers. We are aiming for projects. Just to say, we are not looking for that end user that are using the product that is building on us. So we actually are technology. We are also not a marketing company. We just are in for the technology. And that's one of the main reasons I also joined this, because of the technology. And as a teacher, I really want to explain that technology to those who are not familiar with Solidity, with WebAssembly. I just want to explain it with a simple way. This is possible to do. And it may not be technical, but I also want to support the technical people as well. So for me, it's like having just the sharing the regular knowledge of our ecosystem, as well as the more advanced technical questions that others can have for our project.
I have another question here about computer science. What's the best strategy for teaching yourself to learn to code, or to learn any new coding language?
Well, I must say I have a simple thing to suggest, is just join a hackathon. I really love hackathons, because hackathons, they are like, they can stretch up to 3 months or 4 months, but can also be like 1 month, and you are working with a team of people you don't know, but at the end you are working on one project. And because you really join a hackathon, you really want to know what's going on, so you have the strong feeling inside of you that you really want to learn about this. And that was, for me, the way to go into the Polkadot ecosystem, by joining a hackathon. Actually, I learned more in 2 months about a completely ecosystem that I have learned in 8 years of being in the blockchain industry. In those 3 intense months, I was learning everything that was possible to learn about Rust, Substrate, the complete how does the ecosystem work, and things like that. And joining a hackathon will give you the power to do so, because you are in this to the end with your team, if you want to join as a team. So yeah, if you really want to learn something, just join a hackathon. Why a hackathon? Because you don't have to be a developer to join one. You can also join as just a regular, like me. I have some coding experience, but not like blockchain coding experience. So I just have the basic knowledge, but I do have knowledge about web development and design and things like that. So I joined the team, and there in the team there were some big developers there, like blockchain developers, and I was more like working on the front end of the product and things like that, of working on the design that could work with the code and so on. So joining a hackathon can give you a ticket to really get a job in the blockchain industry, because that's the perfect place to learn more about an ecosystem. And there are a lot of hackathons going on. If you just look at the ENCODE, if you just look at ENCODE hackathons, they got like hackathons for they will have hackathons for Avalanche, for Polkadot, for a lot of ecosystems. And just joining one and doing that challenges for a couple of months, and yeah, and that maybe was a blessing for me about the COVID crisis. Everything was like a lockdown. You have to search for something that I really want to do, because I was running up the walls, because there was nothing you could do. You couldn't go outside, you couldn't do anything. So that was a perfect moment for me to just dive deep into the blockchain coding and the blockchain developing and joining that hackathon. And yeah,
So your life transformed because of it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I think joining a hackathon is the best place to learn about technology. I think it's more interesting than just go to a bookstore and buy a book of how to code in Rust or how to code Java or things like that. You'll read 50 pages and you will close it and you will leave it. So
that's, I think what you just said, I agree with. It's much better to use some kind of application than to learn it from a book. And I will definitely keep that in mind. How do people get in touch with you? How can we find you? And how can we reach you?
okay, you can find me on my LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Maarten Henskens. You can also find me on Telegram. It's like Fixer is my handle there, or just look me up in the channel of Telegram channel of Star Network. I'm on Discord, I'm on Element, I'm on Twitter, so I'm on all those channels, so they can always look me up there and connect with me. Happy to talk with everyone who's interested or have questions for me or want to know more about some things. Feel free to contact me. I'm always open. I'm always ready to communicate and answering all your questions if needed.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maarten Henskens, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Mustafa.